Part 6. Who the F did I hire? This is the story of how I went from hiring my stepsister to work at my dog grooming salon to getting her fired and then arrested. Well, not getting her fired, firing her, and then getting her arrested. This might be the last part, because I don't know what's happening with TikTok. I'm thinking I might move the series to like YouTube or something if something does happen to TikTok. If I don't get to everything here, but I'm going to try to get to everything here today. Lynn is my stepsister. She has been being rough with dogs. A FedEx lady saw her smack a dog in the face, and she came to us. Julia, my other groomer, has noticed her being rough with other dogs, and my bather, who now works there, has noticed her being rough with dogs. Working around her has been miserable. She is, at this point, like almost 9 months pregnant, hates life, hates the world, like hates doing every dog, very miserable. And being around that energy at the salon every day was exhausting. Someone had complained about one of Julia's groomings to Lynn. Lynn wrote in the notes in our system something bitchy. Like, the owner said it looks like a toddler did it. Like, just something bitchy that got Julia really upset. Julia came in angry that day. And it was me, Lynn, and Julia working. Lynn is like super pregnant. Someone comes in, uses our self-wash. We have a client like in the building, in the self-wash. I am in my office. Em was in a car accident, like not like a really dramatic one, but it was enough to make her late. So she called, and Lynn had answered the phone, and she said, I am going to be a few minutes late. And Lynn was like, do you want me to take your dog? And Em said, yes, just start doing the dog. Like, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. So Julia comes around the corner and sees Lynn doing Em's dog and doesn't know that Em is going to be late and was in a car accident, and gets really upset and says, like, that's Em's dog, like, you're stealing, because Lynn had been stealing dogs. Like, she had been stealing dogs from Julia. She was like trying to make it so no one else made money. And that's when Lynn reacted, and which Lynn, like, she's all like bark but no bite, you know what I mean? So, but she was just told her, like, no one likes you, go back to your corner. And I guess Julia said, you're a bitch. And then, like, they were like yelling at each other. I don't know. Julia comes into my office, like, just about in tears, and says, like, I can't work with her, I'm leaving. And so awkward. Then Em comes in, and Julia then finds out she was in a car accident, and then she just like storms out. And Julia also said, don't kill your baby on your way out. And that really upset Lynn because, well, because Julia knows that she's violent. And Lynn's the type of person that doesn't like people around her that don't just bow down to her and are her yes people, like her father and everyone in her life. Julia leaves. And then Lynn just keeps continuing to spin her manipulations and everything, and gets me to be upset with Julia, and like we weren't even talking, and it like almost really destroyed our friendship. Since then, now Julia is working back at the salon, but like it was really fucked up. She almost came between me and her. She ends up having the baby. Very exciting. Love the baby. Still don't know who the father is. At this point, she's like back with her ex-boyfriend, and everyone's just saying that like he's the father, baby, basically. Even though he hasn't been tested yet, so he's like getting attached to this baby. And he even like told her like, I'll be with you even if it's not mine. And then they tested it and found out it wasn't his, and then she like broke up with him and was like, I don't want to be with you. So that probably sucked for him because he got like attached to the baby for a little bit. And she was gone out on maternity leave for a while. So me and Em, it was very stressful. It was just like me and a bather, and like the salon was so busy. And but it was peaceful. There was no drama. Like part of me just didn't want her to come back. I was like, maybe she'll like go to school or something. Like I just couldn't, like, it was really stressful. I was going to have to hire someone else, but it was just being super stressed and being the only one doing like full haircuts. But luckily Em, like, for being just a bather, she stepped up and started basically grooming the dog. She was like doing like 3/4 of the groom, and I would just have to do like finishing touches. So thank God she really like stepped up and helped. The dreaded day comes around where Lynn comes back to the salon to work with me and Em again. And it went like pretty good for a little while because like she, I don't know, wasn't like jaded to grooming again. So she was kind of like excited to work again and was like more positive than normal. And then slowly started to dip back into being negative. And so I started, the schedule was that like her and Em would work alone together one day, and Lynn would work alone by herself one day, and I was there every other day. So I could have 2 days off. And I felt really bad for Em because Em said it like sucked the days that it was just her and Lynn there. Like she said it was just so negative. She was like bitch all the time about like not making enough money. And so she was finally getting to the point like when she could work days by herself, I was like, okay, you're at the point of you're a groomer now that you can. There's like certain breeds and stuff she couldn't do. So she couldn't do like specific breed cuts and stuff, but she could do like the majority of just like a regular haircut. And so I'm like, okay, so now you're going to become commission. Because I offered it to her. I was like, so do you want to do 50% commission? And she said no at first. She wanted to stay hourly. And so I had bumped her up now. She was 22 an hour plus tips. So that probably works out to be about like 28 an hour. Like I'm telling you, like they tip really well. Probably like, I don't know, 28, like 25 to 28 an hour. And at this point, she was still living at home. She had a newborn baby that was like 3 months old, not even. She had free daycare. So she had like free rent, free daycare because my mother would help watch the baby, her father would watch the baby, my grandmother would watch the baby, her grandmother and mother would watch the baby. Like everyone chipped in, was helping with the baby. And she even had like Fridays off. Like she had weekends off of being a mother. Like so she could just like go be a 19-year-old. It was really wild. Like my mom and Jake, her stepdad, her dad, my stepfather, like would stay home and watch the baby every Friday night. I think it might have been Saturday night too. I don't know. And I was like, what's going on? I'm like, you're like, her baby's only a few months old. Like she should be there, but you know, she was 19, wanted to go live it up. So she had it like pretty nice. Like she was making good money for having like zero bills. So working like 6 days a week. So she was working like overtime. And that's why she didn't want to, because I had to cut off overtime because what she was doing, she was staying like an hour or two late every night saying she was deep cleaning, but I don't know exactly what was being done. And like, yeah, she was cleaning the place, but for 2 hours. So she was like racking up all these like hours of working. And I was like, do you want to do commission? She was like, no. But then I like did the math and I'm like, well, actually you'll make a little bit more if you go to like 1099. I don't take taxes out and like you have to save for yours. So she switched to that because what started happening was she was getting mad when people weren't tipping. So when she was hourly, she was like stuck at 22 an hour unless she went into overtime. So you have to pay them time and a half. But her tips, like, so the more dogs she did, so that was her incentive to do more dogs because, like, the tips actually would accumulate a lot. Would just get so mad when people wouldn't tip. And, like, I remember one time after she did some dogs, someone didn't tip, and she was like, I shouldn't have done a good job on then or something. And I'm like, I still paid you, like, your hourly rate. Like, on top of that, I also give, like, paid time off. So when you're hourly, you can accrue paid time off as well. When you're commission, you get a bonus. So she just kept complaining that, like, she wasn't making enough money when she was, like, still making, I think it was like around $800 a week. Like it wasn't like a low amount. Like it was between 800 to 1,000 a week before she went commission. Then when I switched her to commission, she started making like $1,500, like upward. Like there was one check where I was cashing it out and it was like $1,800. I was like, this is insane. Like she was making more than me because like she was taking all of the dogs. I have to at least make equal amount to my employees. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the only way business can run. Like so stressed. I remember like. And then poor M, when we were slow and didn't have enough hours, like M had to go to like DoorDash. So instead of like when we didn't have dogs, she could like deep clean or stuff like that. Like I couldn't afford to do that. Lynn was taking all of the dogs, so M was like DoorDashing. I was panicking. I was having like literal panic attacks. I couldn't figure out how to like pay for bills. I was thinking about getting like another job. It was ridiculous. And so I ended up taking a sketchy business loan out, and it was like a $20,000 loan. And because I also accrued like a credit card debt when I did the remodel, back in part 2 or something, or 3, when Lynn hooked up with my ex-best friend, Derek. So I ended up taking a sketchy business loan out, $20,000. And the payback was, I didn't realize, $980 a week to pay it back. It was crazy. I couldn't keep up with it, obviously. And so then I ended up, they put a lien on my business and like my bank accounts froze. And so my mom took a loan out from her 401k and paid it for me, and now I just pay her weekly the interest. So she made a little bit of money on the deal, which is cool. And so now I only pay like $270 a week versus $980. It's a lot easier, and that's gonna be paid off soon. So it was like a very intense, stressful time. And I think too, like business might have been slowing because we were super busy when it was me and Em. And when she came back, and then like she was like taking all the dogs, and like business was slowing again. I just don't know if like people didn't like her energy, or she was so concerned with money that she would load up her dogs and get so stressed out. And I think that's what inevitably ended up bringing her to like hitting dogs, was because she would just get so frustrated when a dog would act. Because most dogs like don't want to be tied to a table and get their hair cut. Like you have to work with the animals and realize that they're in a weird environment for a dog. And so they're going to be fidgety and weird and like annoying sometimes. But the part of like how you become a good groomer is you just learn to like deal with that and work around the dog. And it's like, we always say it's like grooming a moving target. But she would just get so mad when the dogs wouldn't act well for her. And when she was alone, she was smacking the dogs. So one day when Em and Lynn are working there alone, Em has her back turned to Lynn and hears a thwack and a dog scream. And Lynn suddenly goes, oh my God, this dog tried to bite the brush. And Em thought like it was suspicious, and she texted me and said, look at the cameras at this time. And I have that footage. I will play that here.
Freaking out for me fucking foot. I'm sorry. Don't bite me. I'm brushing you. You are fine. Stop it. Wait, does Charlie try to bite me for brushing his teeth? Look at it. It's like showing his teeth. It snapped at me and I fucking bit the brush and started screaming. You're a whore. It's on his ears. I've been trying to scrub it off the last 3 times I've bathed his home.
And what we saw was Lynn take a brush and smack a dog in the face, and it screams. And she tried to instantly cover it up and say the dog tried to bite the brush. And I said, this is her hitting a dog on camera. She's got plenty of warnings. this is done. Like, I have to fire you. And so I text her. I can show the text here, what I said. And I literally said, you have left me no choice. I now have footage of you hitting a dog. You are no longer working here. Like, don't come in. And I sent her the video. I was like, how can you explain this? And then she texts back like, please don't do this to me, because she had just moved out and got her own apartment, which got like a really good deal on it. But still, she was like, her and the baby moved out on their own. But she decided to hit a dog, and I was sick of it. And it was everything leading up to it too. Her like horrible attitude, not being grateful, complaining to Em when I wasn't there, saying that like she wasn't getting paid enough and all this stuff, that it wasn't worth it what she get for doodle. So like once the second she became commission, she instantly started charging, because my groomers get paid 50% commission plus tips, so 50% of every sale. So she'd be adding on all these extra charges all the time. That's how she was making so much money. But one time I even like caught her, we were working, and I saw like she like literally went into the system and created an extra fee, like a charge that said like specialty fee, and I was like, what is this? And she was like, oh, it's because I had to like shave the poodle fee. And I'm like, no, that's our, like poodles get a separate price already. So no, you're not going to charge them that. And she was so mad at me and so childish. She like put her headphones in and wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the day. And that was like right before that day. I think after that happened and she left, and I was like, really? Like, I'm the one that made this business and the prices. And that was the day that Em texted me and said, look at the camera. Well, actually, she texted me instantly. That was the day after she was being a bitch. I went and looked at the footage. I only looked far as back as that day. Saw that, and I was like, that's enough to fire her. And then had the audacity to ask me if she's going to get her bonus, which, like, my groomers get a quarterly bonus. They get a quarterly bonus, like, percentage of their sales. And she was going to get, like, $600. And she's like, do I still get my bonus? I'm like, no. You were just fired for animal abuse. Like, no. But she's just making it up. She was saying, like, what? Was Em talking about me? Like, she was, again, trying to do the Julia thing to Em. And I was like, no. Like, like, it was so funny, like, seeing her, like, backed in a corner like that. And she was like, well, like, what? Like, Em's talking shit. I'm like, do you not realize I have a camera? And I know she realizes it because I installed it with her right there. Like, and it's glowing blue. It's right in front of your face. Like, it's not, like, she knew I had all this footage. And so, I ignore her about the bonus. It was laughable. You're not going to get your bonus. And the only thing she had left there was, like, a few measly things that we rounded up, like a laundry basket that she stole from Target, a little stand she bought on Amazon, and then like a few like nail clippers or whatever. And so Em had it all packaged up. And so Lynn knew the schedule, obviously, because she had just been fired. And she knew that on Saturdays were our really busy super days, and it was only me and Lynn that worked. And so that upcoming Saturday after I fired her, I had Em come and work for me, and my mother watched Em's daughter while she did that, because Em's a single mother, and that's the only way she could work a weekend. And to help me with like a hectic Saturday. And we had moved dogs around anyway to make it less intense. Like, it sucked. We had to like, because she was packing on so many dogs on her schedule, she had like 10 dogs a day for like a month. So we had to like move so many dogs out. It was wild. Like, even like to this day, some customers come back I haven't seen in a while and they're like, are you mad at me? Like, you said you were booked out 2 months. I'm like, no, I really was. Like, it was crazy. But now I have like a full staff and it's good. But me and Em are just grooming along that Saturday. My mom has Em's daughter. And then all of a sudden, a cop walks in. She walks up to the counter and says, hi, Lynn Blank is here because she doesn't feel safe to get her belongings. And I look over, and because there's like a window from where we groom to the lobby, that's where the cop is standing. And then I look over, and Amy, Lynn's mother, is standing at the door. And then Lynn's kind of like hiding behind her, like peeking around her mother, like all nervous. And I was like, okay. And Em was the one actually to like greet them, and so Lynn wasn't expecting Em to be there. I look over at Em, and like her face is red. You can tell she's so mad because she knows all of this. I showed her, like she was witness it. I showed her the footage. Like she knows what happened. She's been dealing with like Lynn being super negative and rough with the animals around her. So I just let them in. Lynn and Amy walk in with the cop. The cop stands there. Like the place is colored. Like the walls are painted pink. I had a pink smock on. I'm like, hi. I acted completely normal, fine. And I was just like was continuing grooming my like fluffy doodle while they went and collected their 2 things. They were in there like in the salon not even 2 minutes. The cop's just kind of standing there looking, kind of like I can see like the look on her face, like what is going on here. And then I look over and Lynn starts trying to take like it's like a belly band. It's like a support strap that like helps a dog stand when it's on the table, like hold it in place. And I was like, that's not yours. Like you didn't pay for that, right? And she's like, well, I thought you got it for me. I was like, no, I got it for like your station, like for you to use here, but no, it's not yours. And then Amy goes, well, I guess if you need it that bad, we can leave it. I'm like, okay, thanks. So I'm sitting there like trying not to be so enraged right now because I had just fired her for animal abuse and she just brought a cop into my salon. So they are not in there for not even 2 minutes, gather up like literally the 2 things, walk out. The cop just kind of goes, okay, bye. And like they leave. As they're leaving, my mother pulls in. And so I'm kind of like stuck at my table because I have a dog on my table. So I can't just like walk away and leave this dog and figure like I'm kind of just frozen there. I'm like, what just happened? Like, did she just bring a cop here after I fired her for animal abuse? Like, it's so wild. And so my mom shows up. She brings Em's daughter in. And the M's daughter's like freaking out. She's like, "Oh my gosh!" She's like, "Is my mom in trouble?" Like, my mom goes outside, and there's literally 2 cars in the cop car they brought there. So Amy brought her best friend, like some old trailer trash redneck thing. They're in Amy's car. Then in Lynn's car, she brought her best friend. Ready? Then in Lynn's car, she brought her best friend, brought my little stepsister, and then brought my cousin. Like that's from like my side of the family. They happened to bring her there because she's friends with my little stepsister. Like, and my mom walks out in front of everyone and is like, what is like? She's like, what the hell is going on here? And the cop was like, Lynn didn't feel safe to get her things. My mom's like, she didn't feel safe? The dogs didn't feel safe. She got fired for beating the dogs in front of everyone. And so Lynn had not told them why she was fired. Actually, she had. She had lied. She was telling everyone that I fired her because I was on drugs again and I couldn't afford to pay her. Because of that $20,000 loan that I had to get paid off, she thought I was on drugs again because I've been like 13 years sober. So she thought that would be a good thing to make me look bad in all of this. But I'm like, okay. So that's what she was telling them. And then my mom outed her in front of everyone and she was so embarrassed. And then and then Amy goes like, this is the stepmother, and like she was all bitchy. They pull off. My mom's standing there with the cop, and the cop's like, really, animal abuse? And my mom's like, yeah, he has it on footage. And the cop's like, do you want to press charges? My mom's like, well, I can't press charges because it's not my salon, but I'll talk to my son about it. And so she comes in and tells me what the cop said and said you should press charges. And still at this point, I had only seen that one video for smacking the dog with a brush, and I was like, it's still my stepsister. I don't want to like ruin her life or whatever. At this point, I was like, I'm not going to press charges until I get more evidence. I was like, so I'm going to go like look back further on those Sundays where she was working alone just to see like if there's anything else. And so I sit down, pull up just like one of the Sundays, and I'll insert a little collage of all the videos here. Sorry to be super annoying here, but I'm really trying to get these parts out in case TikTok gets banned. So I need to cut it here, and you will get the final part in just a few hours. I'm so sorry.